All right, shalom, shalom. Oil, oil, the second most abundant liquid on earth. That's right, that's right. We're about to prove it again. Oil, what you ignorantly call fossil fuels, the second most abundant liquid on earth. All right, and a few things I want to bring out in this video. This is going to be a redo that I did this video a few years ago, like 3 years ago, or even actually 4 years ago. And I would compare this to one of the top 5 things I've learned in the truth as far as like a major revelation, next to nothing more than the Most High, nothing more greater than the Most High and Yahweh Shai being so-called black, right, and being for the nation of Israel, right? You so-called blacks, not you Native Americans. That's number one. And then another big revelation is that the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel are consist of so-called blacks, Latino, Native Americans. That we are the chosen, and also this is my personal list of the greatest lies, right, revealed, and this is what I'm comparing it to. Finding out the Moors, right, that they ruled Europe. The Celtics were so-called black. They ruled from the 8th century BC down to to when the Lord was hit the scene. The Vikings were so-called black. Shakespeare was so-called black. Beethoven was so-called black, right? So, yeah, man, I would have to put this on that list, man. One of the top greatest lies, So, what I want to bring out in this video is that a few things, right? That oil is the second most abundant liquid on Earth, right? And also that this proves, we're going to go into the fatness of the earth because fat in the Hebrew, in the Lashawan Kodash, the Paleo Hebrew, is shaman, right? Or mashawan, or shawan, which is oil. We're going to go into that. It really represents fat. And also this proves the blessing that Isaac, our forefather, gave our wicked, you could say uncle, whatever, the brother of our chosen, the brother of our chosen ancestry, Jacob, is Esau, and this proves that this is him, right? The nation of Esau is the father of the Edomites. If you look at Genesis 36, verse 1 through 8, right? Esau is the father of the Edomites. Esau in the Paleo Hebrew means Ishashua. Ishashua, which means wasted away is he. What is wasted away? The skin pigmentation, no melanin, right? They had descendants. Those descendants are the nation of Edom, and Edom in the Hebrew is other one, which means a red man, right? Which is identified and clearly seen through the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Oppenheimers, the people who control the earth, Job 9:24. So that's what I want to bring out, Lord willing, in this video. And I think it's very critical in these times because here it is. We got a lot of things, or current events, or contention and wars around the world, mostly because of oil, right? And the main thing I want to bring out of this is that when we find out that oil is the second most abundant liquid on earth, it proves the how evil this man is, the nation of Edom, starting with the elite banking families, the nation of Edom, right? The descendants of Esau, or descendants of Esau, the wicked, which is called the nation of Edom. All right. So just want to do my little intro with that. So we're gonna get right into it. But first off, I like to say, Kal Halal Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rachwa Kodash Thawada Yahweh for giving us Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles of GMS who have the 100% spirit of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai in them. Double honors to the CT bishops of GMS, our Big Akim. And greetings and salutations to the Akim in this country and all over the world, prophesying in the true name of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, which is none other than the power of the nation of Israel, which consists of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, and anybody who are descendants, all right, from those people on their father's side. Shalom to those who are scattered abroad. I'm Yaquab, Lord willing, serving the King of the universe, King Yahushai, from the power of Yahweh, all right, the Father of our Lord, Yahushai, and the Father of the nation of Israel, and this time starting with the elect. So we're going to go right into it again. Oil, right, is the second most abundant liquid on earth. And damn, look at that. I'm looking at the background. That's a spirit. I didn't even notice. You've got water in the background here, right? The screensaver. And again, when we get into this, we're about to get into the word abiotic. I want to go into what that means. Abiotic. That's what oil is. And just a quick facts, right? So number one, oil is not fossil fuels, right? And that term was created, fossil fuels, to make it seem scarce, right? Because fossils come from animals, supposedly, right? Fossil fuels. A fossil is come from animals, right? So they tell you in the world, or they teach you in the world, that oil comes from, ancient dinosaurs, which dinosaurs are still around today. They're hidden, right? The Most High is hidden probably in Amazon rainforest or other parts of the world that man can access, right? But the main point is that fossil fuels refers to animals that supposedly died thousands of years ago, right? But the thing is, when you dig for, they call it fracking or whatever have you, right? I'm about to show a video that's gonna say all this, right? But I just want to intro it in that you can't dig for oil. Oil is only no more. It doesn't go any deeper than 16,000 feet. All right, it doesn't go any more than 16,000 feet. Now, you got the so-called scientists and people who are bought out that say that when they fracking is digging for oil, that they go 20,000 feet, 30,000 feet, right? But there's no oil under that far, right? Oil only can, at the farthest, can go 16,000 feet, right? And oil, another thing is oil regenerates faster than you can deplete it, all right? Again, oil regenerates, right, faster than you can take it out of the earth, right? So here it is, all this wars, all this things with Venezuela and Iran and all these, Iraq, all these, Saudi Arabia, all these nations fighting over oil, or fighting over something that's abundant on the earth. They're fighting over something that's replenishes more than you can ever deplete it from the earth. And this was all set up, right? This was all set up for a purpose, for dominance, for a monopoly of oil. And also, when you have to create a scarcity, right? When you create a scarcity, you create more value, right? So that's the thing when we're about to find out here and that's truly demonic. All these wars and all this evil come from this controlled information. Control meaning it's a lie. Look at all the harm and evil and bad times it has brought all over the world, because evil means bad times. Right, you have people starving in Venezuela. You have countries becoming third world countries because they don't have any oil. And you have a certain people, a family, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, who control the oil and tell you that it's scarce. You got gas prices rising and all that stuff because they tell you it's scarce, right? So part of the fatness of the earth is the oil, right? And that's what Esau controls. But he created this whole scarcity thing to create an imaginary value of it, and to charge people for something that's abundant. Just like water. Like you shouldn't be paying for water, man. This is how crazy the things are. But only the devil. See, only a devil can convince you that this is normal life, right? Only the power of the devil can do that. Because the thing about a devil is what? It means diablo, which means false accuser, right? So if you meditate, the whole point of a devil or a false accuser, the devil's ultimate vibration is to make you believe and not in truth, right? Right? He's a false. He's never accurate. His spirit or that spirit entity is all about not making you see and believe truth, right? And again, this is an example of that, proving that this nation of Esau, Edom, and it goes back to the fatness of earth. Now, there's other quick facts I want to bring out, but we're just going to get into it and let the facts roll out. What else? What are we going to bring out? All right, so first I'm going to show this video, and let's go first to the video, and then we're going to get into the word abiotic, and then we're going to, of course, go to Esau's blessing. All right, so again, this is one of the greatest revelations I found out a few years back. This is a redo. I did this show before, and like I said, I was blown away, and it just shows you the depths of this man, the satanic, his mind, how wicked he is. All right. So I may have to make my window shorter here, but here's the video here. I'll put this in the description. I did this show in 2022, and you see here it's called the second most prevalent abundant liquid on earth. All right, just like the screensaver I got here, right? Let's go back to that. Look at that. You see this? You see this? The number one liquid on earth is water. What is number two? Oil. Oil. Okay. So you can never run out of oil, but yet they're telling you you can. You see this devil? Do you see why this man's the devil? Let's go back to this now. Now, I did this show, as you see in 2022. I'll post the description if you want, but I'm just basically doing a redo. And we're going to check out this video here. It's called Fletcher Prouty Explains the Invention and the Use of Term Fossil Fuel. So let's play this. Let's play this. Let me, I'm going to have to bring my window shorter.
And another thing we should...
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to have to make my window shorter here. I'm going to have to pause it. Hold up. All right, we're back. All right, now let's play this. I'm very excited to bring this out, man. Very excited to bring this out. And I don't really say this, but share the video that's going to be posted. It's being pre-recorded, by the way. It's about the Sabbath, 4 o'clock right now. Oh, excuse me. This is a day 19 of 2026. Day 19. All right, so let's play, man. Enjoy, man. Let's go.
Well, you mentioned in one of your last talks that petroleum wasn't what we thought it was, that it wasn't a thought.
Hold up. I gotta show you something. I don't know what that.
Well, you mentioned in one of your last talks.
Hold up. I just want to show you something real quick. I know what. Where is that thing? Hold up. Slocky out there. Hold up. Slocky. There's a thing that's supposed to show the intro. I don't know why I don't see it here. Let me pull this one up. Slocky.
On Earth.
I just want to show you something real quick. Yeah, here it is. Just want to let you read this real quick. I know why it's not showing up. Okay. I think it's a little unclear. I wanted to show this. I don't know why it's not showing up. Ah, all right, whatever. It's cool. Maybe I don't know what's going on, but let's show the original video. Let's go back to that again. So let's start from the beginning. Let's play.
You mentioned in one of your last talks that petroleum wasn't what we thought it was, that it wasn't a fossil fuel, that it didn't come from fossil animal.
Yeah.
Is it just a mineral? Is it a mineral like any other mineral? Is that how it? What would you say? How did it? What's the origin of
You see,
petroleum?
when they first found petroleum, because they were beginning to make motors and needed on axles or wheels on railroad trains and all that sort of thing, and remember trains started in the beginning of the 19th century, then oil went from just a lubricant to a fuel, and it made it valuable. And Rockefeller happened to be the smartest man in the business at the time, but he made most of his money, or much of it, off the transport of the petroleum as well as selling it. But
Yeah, because I do remember real quick that a barium is a byproduct of petroleum, right, or a residue of certain like chemicals, right. And one of the things that fact check me of um, after World War I, they didn't know what to do with the rest of the. They wanted to put use to the rest of the chemicals that they used in chemical warfare in World War One. I believe it was petroleum based, and what they did, they decided to put it in like it's called sodium fluoride in certain products, like your toothpaste and other products, and petroleum based medicine. Right, all medicine is petroleum based, and everything you see around you has oil in it, like plastics. Plastic has oils. Everything you see, your cell phone case, rubber, um, everything has oil on it. Your car, um, food, right? Um, it's a byproduct of that. So just wanted to say that real quick, but let's play.
the petroleum as well as selling it. But one thing they realized was because oil is putting a price on oil is like putting a price on a pail of water. No initial cost. It's in the ground, and in those days they were some of it almost what you'd call surface mining the oil. They didn't go down deep. So in order to get the price up, they hit on the idea that they would have to make it appear to be scarce. That after we take the next few barrels out, we're probably going to have to close as well. That kind of thing. Well, a very fortuitous event. In 1892, there was a convention in Geneva of scientists to determine what organic substances are. Well, the definition of organic is a substance with hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon.
I'll pause at some point so you could meditate on it, right? The definition of something that's biotic is hydrogen, carbon, and what do you say? Let's bring it back.
Substance with hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. And so it's usually a living substance, a tree. You analyze a dead tree, hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen, and grass, and so on, living things. Animals, we are hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon.
Hydrogen, oxygen, carbon. Hydrogen, oxygen, carbon. Right? All living things, right?
So at this Geneva Convention, Rockefeller took advantage of sending some scientists over who said oil, petroleum, is hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. Therefore, it must be derived from the spoiling, the rotting of formerly living matter.
Totally made up. Totally made up, right? You just made that up.
And playing the game properly, when this scientific convention was over, they defined oil as a residue from formerly living matter.
Yeah, so that was after 1892, as he just said, that the Geneva Convention, Rockefeller, which is, as we know in the scriptures, as a Edomite, one of the Rothschilds, families. Again, he hired a bunch of scientists at the Geneva Convention and hired them to lie and to say that oil was a fossil fuel when it wasn't, all right? Because we know that fossils refer back to living animals, or supposedly, right? A fossil is a living animal, and something that's living has what? Hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen, right? Oil does not have that. It's abiotic, all right? So just quick review. Let's go.
Well, that makes it a fossil fuel. I don't know why they decided to use the word fossil, but it says formerly living matter, it's fossil. Well, of course, today, and another thing we should know is that there has never been a fossil, a real fossil found below 16,000 feet. And you can't argue at 16,000 there's a level line.
So I got it. I didn't say it exactly right. So not that you can dig for oil under 16. As far as fossils are concerned, fossils don't exist under 16,000 feet. So that's a correction. Make that more clearer. All right. Fossils cannot exist more than 16,000 feet.
Because some
life, right? Formerly living cells or animals.
Place the ground sinks and so on, but 16 is what the scientists say, 16,000. We mine oil, or we drill for oil at 30,000, 33,000, 28,000 every day of the week. So right there, we rule it out that it isn't fossil fuel. It's called fossil fuel for the minds of the public to feel that it is an asset that is running out, being depleted. We talk about depletion allowance, which is a lot of, and actually, if you know the world's oil supply, you know that it is not going to run out for an awfully long time. It is the second most prevalent liquid on Earth. And we haven't begun to dig. Well, with all that background, you see, the people in charge of the petroleum business, for perfectly reasonable business things, like any other man in the business, wants to keep his price as high as he can get away with. And the way to do is just say, well, there's no more. The last barrel is going to cost $1,000, and then it's all done. And
see, everything goes back to a dollar, and Esau's behind that, right? Creating a lie, creating scarcity, right? When there's an abundance of the thing, we're talking about oil, right? Again, this man's all about deceit, deception, and putting more money in his pocket, lying to the world, man. The devil.
And they preach that stuff. What bothers me is that in geology books, it's in there. The geologists say it's a fossil fuel. They've been bought. I mean, I went to a 4-year federal staff energy seminar run by the government of the United States during the so-called energy crisis. I was the participant that represented the railroad industry. The airline industry was there. Every AA, administrative assistant of senators and congressmen, was there. The CIA was there. The Defense Department was there. The State Department was there. Sometimes sitting right in front of me in the row would be Henry Kissinger with his friend, the head of Department of Defense. It's too bad I can't put the names with it.
Henry Kissinger eventually became a Secretary of Defense for the U.S., I believe. I forget what year, but another demon.
But anyway, people like that, top men in the government, sitting there listening to the federal staff energy seminar. Well, what this was doing is for 4 years, they were teaching a propaganda line to the leading people in this country, and therefore to the leading people in the world, when you include the Kissinger and Schlesinger, among others. And the object of it was, as Kissinger used in his own terms when it was time for him to speak, to create a world price for oil. In other words, not 30 cents a gallon here and 90 cents a gallon there, but let's get a world price. That's their goal, and they're trying to do that for wheat and everything else. We don't realize what the controls are, whether it's oil or some of these other things. Almost everything today is being categorized at the highest price they can possibly make it go.
So if you just missed that, he said a lot of things are controlled. We don't know what's controlled, right? So this is something that's controlled information, right? So, yeah, they're controlling information because they know the truth that oil is the second most abundant liquid on earth, but they've taught the world and manifested lies that change the whole trajectory of the world in oil, right? When there's other sources of what is it, reusable energy, or there's so many things. There, when the automobile first came out, there's many documents. I forget who it was or a man who documents stating that first cars could have been ran out of water, right? One of the things I remember, I looked at a documentary years ago. I forget what it was called exactly. I think it was called Zenith or something like that. Zenith, and it was going into that the best source of one of the best top sources of energy, steam energy, right, and steam energy from the earth, right, just like a 10 by 10 cubic, 10 by 10 or 40 cubic feet of energy from the ground, right, can last you 100 years. It was like that kind of breakdown. So there's so much other other sources of energy we can use. You don't have to use oil, right? You have solar energy, steam energy, right? Making some things work from water, right? Like you have electricity, right? Not just oil, okay?
And so calling petroleum a fossil fuel is the basis for this system with respect to petroleum. And I don't know if the name Arthur Kantrowitz rings any bell. Arthur Kantrowitz is the head of the Kantrowitz Labs set up by the AVCO company near Boston, scientific laboratories. And a great man in the scientific world. And Kantrowitz and I were sitting at a table at this seminar once, and the table happened to be all young college grad, PhD geologists. And so just to get a conversation started,
Geo means earth, right? Earth.
I turned to Kantrowitz and I said, Arthur, what do you think about this foolishness of these speakers talking about fossil fuel? And it was kind of put up. He started laughing. He said, that gets me. He says, I don't have a geology degree, but he had 1,000 other degrees. And he said, I don't understand. He said, you'd think that these heads, these other fellows at the table, we did it on purpose, start listening, And he asked, he said, are you gentlemen, he says, you're here at the meeting, are you gentlemen by any chance geologists? And one fellow, yes, I am. And the other, yeah. He said, well, why don't you tell me? He said, why is oil, and he went on like that. We brought the house down because nobody could argue with Kantrowitz. He's like Einstein. People aren't going to, and he told him right there, he said, just drop it. But it's in all the books and in all the papers. But it started from that strange meeting in 1892, a scientific convention. I have a big, thick scientific encyclopedia put out by the Divan Ostrand Company that's about 15 years old now. But it has the whole story of the conference. It doesn't have the Rockefeller part, but it has the whole story of how they straightened out organic chemicals and how it was all figured. And they've got petroleum right in there.
Amazing. Amazing. So
these aren't accidental things, you see. There's a dollar sign behind almost everything.
Boom. There's a dollar sign behind almost everything. Now, I don't know why. Anyway, the guy's name is L. Fletcher Prouty. All right. Why the petroleum industry has adopted the use of the term fossil fuel. So, you could look this guy up. That's who we just were looking at talk, and you could do your more research on your own. All right. Like I said, I did the show on it a few years back, and as you can see here, I'll go to real quick. Now, if you go to the description, I would suggest you also watch. I posted here, right? Fletcher Proud explains the invention and use of oil. I mean, what's this here? Oh, that's something else I put. Okay. Just before I go to anything else. Yeah, check out this documentary. All right, right here. It's one of my favorite ones. Pump. It's called Pump 2015 USA documentary. It goes into basically. Let's see if we get a description. There's no description. But this is one of the best document. This is the best documentary for me I've seen considering oil, right? Oil and basically you're not a superpower. You're not a top contender as a country if you don't have oil, right? China, Russia, India, Africa, right? America, right? South America, right? They're all on top because they have oil, right? Uh, so this breaks it down and it goes into the Rockefellers, how he monopolized oil in the beginning, how from this video I found out that in the U.S. In the beginning, not in the beginning, but in the early 1900s or the late 19th century, right, which would be the 1800s, late 1800s, and early 1900s, the industrial era. Before automobiles were brought into society and started getting more popular. Um, there was a whole railroad system that was already it's in how should I say, it was already built into America's transportation system, logistics, right? So you can get from California to New York, you can get from New York to Texas, you can get from anywhere, Florida, whatever, you can get anywhere around. See right here, it's going into it. Actually, hold up.
Transportation in the world.
Oh, there we can see
The new streamlined streetcars at Los Angeles. The latest in big town transportation on rail.
People loved the trolleys. They could hop off, they could hop on. All the trolleys ran on electricity. It was said that you could go from San Diego to New York City on a trolley just by transferring. Standard Oil, Mack Truck, Firestone, Phillips Petroleum, and General Motors all got together to create a secret company.
Secret company, what's that? Conspiracy. A conspiracy fact.
They would buy up all the trolley systems. They
See?
would buy them in Galesburg, Illinois, in Baltimore, in Florida.
Let's bring that
The
back.
new streamlined streetcars.
Upon a time,
They could hop off, they could hop on. All the trolleys ran on electricity. It was said that you could go from San Diego to New York City on a trolley just by transferring. Standard Oil, Mack Truck, Firestone, Phillips Petroleum, and General.
Uh-oh. Saint wanna play? Saint wanna play. The computer's freezing. Oh man. Saint wanna play. Oh man. I'm still recording, right? I can't. Oh, here we go. Satan's they disrupting the feed now. I can't do nothing.
Motors all got together
Okay, we're good.
to create a secret company. They would buy up all the trolley systems. They would buy them in Galesburg, Illinois, in Baltimore, in Florida, in Los Angeles. The rails were pulled up. The trolley cars themselves were burned in public bonfires, and they replaced them with smelly, oil-consuming motor buses. Eventually, the federal government discovered that this was a conspiracy to subvert mass transit. All 5 corporations were indicted. They were tried. They were found guilty.
Oh, I thought conspiracies were a lie, though, right? I thought conspiracies don't exist, right? Your whole country's ran by conspiracy, man. All right, you're in a you're involved in a conspiracy. You live in conspiracy, anyway.
A corporate conspiracy was responsible for destroying the trolleys in America.
Corporate conspiracy. That's a good one. Corporate. I'm gonna start using that. Corporate conspiracy, or let us start using that term. Corporate conspiracy. That's good. That's what it's all about. These
With
devils,
cheap
man.
public electric transportation eliminated.
So that was it in that clip. That's the spirit, the water Yabashimai Shai. So I didn't. That came up right when I was talking about it. So that's proof. Look at this documentary, man. You're gonna level up with this, man, and get more understanding of oil, how oil came into about. It's about to go into that again. The automobile industry only rose because Rockefeller had the monopoly on oil, right? For the automobile industry to rise, they had to use oil for it to go, right? And they got rid of the trolley system. They didn't need to. It was working fine, but they wanted to again push forth automobile production through GMC and Ford and all that. Right after World War II, as you see, went to another level. But this was the beginning stage in the 1900s or late 1800s. And with the demand of making more cars was the demand of selling more products, making more money off automobiles, and then only allowing oil to be used in these cars so he can make more money on the oil, right? Rather than just trolleys, right? So it was all about money. If it wasn't about money, they could have kept the trolley system, and they could have used other sources of energy like water, steam, whatever have you, to run these cars, right? But again, it's a monopoly. It was strategic. It was conspiracy fact, as we just saw, that they purposely made automobiles rise so they can charge, so you can, use the oil and benefit off the profits. All right, if I explain that right. So proof right there. Look at this documentary, man. Now we got that. We're about to go to abiotic next. What time we got? This is 37 minutes. Timely matter. Let's go to abiotic, right? We were talking about that earlier. So abiotic means what? A physical rather than biological, not derived from living organisms. Okay? We know that living organisms have what? Three elements, or three elements, so to speak. It's more than an element, but states, right? Hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, right? That's living, right? That's not the best definition. Let's get to, see, it says, what is a simple definition of abiotic? It says AI overview. Abiotic, right, because you got biotic and abiotic. So abiotic simply means non-living, referring to the physical and chemical compounds of an ecosystem that aren't alive, such as sunlight, water, soil, temperature, and air, which significantly influences living organisms and environments. So non-living organisms don't have the three components to make it living, right? Like for water, for example, water is what? CO2, right? Oxygen and hydrogen, right? But no carbon, if I'm saying that right. You get the point. Sunlight, all that. Temperature itself, right? So they're like, they exist, but they're not living, but they're entities though. Sunlight, like radiation, gamma rays, X-rays, ultraviolet rays, right? Sunlight, water, soil, temperature, and air, which significantly influence living organisms and the environment, right? Let's get an example of this. This is biotic, abiotic. Let's get a better picture. So it says, what are the biotic and abiotic resources? Biotic and abiotic resources are the two most important factors which are responsible for helping to shape the ecosystem. Biotic factors refer to all living creatures which represent in the ecosystem, and abiotic factors and those non-living. We don't need to read all that. You get that? So this is the right here. Biotic, abiotic, organic matter, living things, oysters, blue crabs, plankton, phytoplankton, jellyfish. Why? Oxygen, carbon, hydrogen. That's why. Abiotic is what? Climate, non-living things, sunlight, temperature, nutrient enrichment, humidity, soil. biotic meaning. When we read that real quick, we really not know what that is. Well, let's read it. The term biotic consists of two terms: bio meaning living organisms, like biometrics, right? Living, bio, living measurement. So bio meaning living organism, and IC meaning similar, collectively as a living organism. Therefore, all living things that exist on Earth can also be defined as biotic factors because they are known as living things. Their presence and biological byproducts affect the consumption of the ecosystem. Biological factors apply to all living organisms, from animals and humans to plants. All right, fungi and bacteria, in order to satisfy basic needs such as the reproduction and food of each species. Interactions between different biological factors are necessary. For example, plants, animals, humans, decomposers, yeast, insects. All these biological components interact to develop new generations. That is, they reproduce new organisms to maintain stability in food chain. So, not going to read the whole thing here. Maybe I'll post it in the description, but let's go down to abiotic. The term abiotic refers to any non-living element present in the ecosystem: sunlight, water, soil, make up biotic factors. The abiotic factors refer to chemical and physical factors that exist in all uh, inanimate objects, the atmosphere, hydrosphere, and the lithosphere. Sunlight, air, precipitation, minerals, and soil are just a few examples of biotic factors, like raining and snowing. These factors have significant impact on the survival and reproduction of species on the ecosystem. For example, autotrophic organisms may not survive without sufficient sunlight. If this organism eventually dies, it will result in food shortages for key consumers. This effect travels down the food chain and affects all organisms. Therefore, it causes imbalance in the ecosystem. All right, so these are examples. Good page here. I'll post it in the description. Let me save this. Okay. Boom. So let's get out of here. Right? We got that. We got that understanding, right? So next. And all these things, look into it yourself as well. You know what I mean? I'm just showing you real quickly because I don't like to make too long shows, 42 minutes. Doing good. Now, I think that was pretty much it. Now let's go to the scriptures. Let's go into the scriptures now. As you can see, fatness is, let's just read the scriptures. We're going to head it back to Esau, man. Okay, the blessing. And it starts at 20. Okay, it starts at 38. So it says the stolen blessing, right? This headline here. Let's read that real quick. Hebrews 12 and 17. It says, "For ye know that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected, yea, Esau, for he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears." Yeah, because you didn't care about your birthright, right? And you found no place of repentance, although you sought it carefully with tears. When you saw Isaac, our forefather, give it that blessing unto Jacob, because he supplanted your ass, which is all part of the drama and beautiful story and record of our Lord Yahweh Shai upon the children of Israel from the blood of our Lord Yahweh Shai. Right, so let's go to Genesis 27 and 28. Was it right? Was it? No. Oh, there's more. Hold up, is that more? Where does it start? I'm sorry. So let's start from 32, and it says, "And Isaac his father said unto him, Who?" No, we don't gotta start there. Just want to go right there. We can start from there. "And Isaac and his father Isaac his father said unto him, who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, the firstborn, thy firstborn, Esau, right? No melanin. And he says, and Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, who, where is he that hath taken venison and brought it to me, and I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him? Yea. Okay. Yea, and ye shall be blessed. Right? It says, and when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry. And he said unto his father, bless me, even me, also my father. And he said, thy brother came with subtlety and have taken away thy blessing. And he said, is not he rightly named Jacob, which is supplanter? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made him thy Lord. Right? The nation of Israel, you saw called blacks, Latino Native Americans, right? We are the Lord of Edomite. We are the Lord of the Edomites. We are above them. They serve us. Right? Right? As the scriptures say, Esau is a servant to Jacob, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and it says, and with come and wine have I sustained him. Corn, I'm sorry, my computer's messed up here. And with corn and wine have I sustained him, and what shall I do now unto thee, thy son? And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me even also, my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac and his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling, this is the point of the show. And Isaac and his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling should be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live. Okay? And thou shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. Don't that sound familiar? A familiar spirit like Cain. Cain slayed his brother Abel. Why? Because everything is reincarnated. Proving to you that the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, they go back to the nation of Edom, the descendants of Esau, and going back to the spirit of Cain. They're the same spirit because Cain slayed his brother Abel. Esau, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, they are the spirit of Cain. Abel, Jacob, the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, we are the spirit of Abel, right? He's doing the same thing today. The transatlantic slave trade, how America was developed, and especially how the so-called blacks, Native Americans, and Latinos are treated here in America, and how we still being treated and killed, and you know the deal. Proves that we are those people. We're the ones that he's slaying. All right, through slavery, through the mind, through the mind, through our neighborhoods, all that stuff, man. Putting us in the bottom. You get all that. But let's go back to the point. It says, and Esau said unto his father, right here, verse 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. So, and the dew of heaven from above. Let's look up fatness. So that word there is what? Ma shawan in the Paleo Hebrew. Ma shawan means fatness, fattest, places, fat ones, fatness, fat, peace, fertile place, right? Or richly prepared, right? The fatness of the earth. So fatness, fat piece, fertile place, so it represents land, right? So Esau's going to have the fatness of the earth, right? Job 9 and 24, right? That's a proof right there. I get it in a sec. It says richly prepared food, right? If Nas is watching, my brother Nas, my stepmother was funny when she would make certain foods like cookies or whatever, and when we used to always tease her. I mean, tease what she say, but she would say, "Ooh, this cookie's rich," and she put it back. She put it back in the fridge. I'm gonna save it for later, you know. So that was my stepmother. But anyway, it was funny. So rich means it fills you up. You know what I mean? And so rich fills you up. So richly prepared food is really rich. It fills you up. Okay, you can't finish the whole thing. So it says fat, fatness, fat pieces, oil. So that's the point I wanted to bring out, right? Oil or olive oil, right? Because the word mashawan is really plural. Fatness, if you go to the root word here, because we're in H4924, right? Mashawan. But let's look up this word. This is, now I say it right, shaman, right? So this is shaman. Shaman. Shaman, yeah. So shaman, right? Which is what? Oil. Wax fat. Make fat. Became fat. So, like you have the waning and waxing of a moon, right? Waxing means to get fatter, to get bigger, make fat. So, growing, something that grows, something that's growing. You get it? Became fat. It's all right there. It says to become or become fat, grow fat. So, did not Esau through Alexander the Great? Did not this world get fat through wickedness through Alexander the Great? When the Lord, that's what the scriptures say, right? And wickedness was spread all over the earth. When you look at Maccabees, the first chapter, right? So wickedness was made fat, okay, through Esau on the earth, right? It says to become or become fat, grow, fat subs, hifil, to make fat, show fatness. Stick with me now because I still want to show it goes back to oil. But there's a lot more in here, though. Make oily or gross, become make fat, right? And how did he become fat? He monopolized oil to become fat and riches, all right, over the earth. It says to be fat or to be fattened, right? To cover with fat. Metaphor, to cover over the heart as it were with fat, to render it callous so it has not is not to heed with the words of the prophet, to be fattened, to make fat, to produce it, right? The fatness of the earth, meaning he got all the control of the earth through the earth and its resources of the earth, and he did it by the sword. Did we not read that? So how did he become so fat? He did it by the sword. He did it by killing. So that was the root word of mashawan, which is basically plural, ma meaning of or from, or just plural, right? So let's go down here. Ooh, let's look at this. So oil, olive oil, fatness, stout. Ooh, being proud, because that's what stout means. Let's double check that. I didn't realize that. All right. So stout, of a person somewhat fat or heavy. Okay. Bill, so I was wrong. So yeah, someone who's fat and heavy, that's stout. Strong and thick. An active quality, a person brave and determined. Okay. Vigorous, right? Fertile spots or places, yeah. So represents fertile. Mashawan, literally and abstractly fatness, but usually figuratively and concretely a rich dish. Like I said, my stepmother, me, and my brother always laugh. Ooh, that cookie was rich. Let me save it for later. Right? Some said fills you up. A fertile field, a robust man. All right. What else we got here? It says fatness, the fatness of his flesh, fertile meadows, fat soldiers. We got to get all into these words, man. Fatness, see? What other stuff? Okay, this says of the dew of heaven, meaning the whole earth. Without the fatness of the earth shall thy dwelling in both these places. It says is for there is a play of words and a double use. So we get that, right? This plain. So what I want to bring out is there olive oil. It says oil. right? Oil. So let's go back. Let's read it again. I love this, man. This is beautiful, man. Hopefully you guys, are enjoying it and just, hey, call halaya by Shemashah, man. Anyway, it says, and Isaac, his father, answered his son unto him, behold, thy dwelling should be the fatness of the earth, right? And the dew of heaven from above, right? See what that means. Dew is what? Kal? The mist, okay. Dew covering vegetation. Okay, light. So, light rain. So, yeah, basically having pure dominance and power over the earth, all right? Let's prove, let me just go in order here, Slock. That dwelling should be the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven from above. Okay, so the fatness, as we just read, is the land, the earth, right? Esau does not, he own, remember his God is, one of the acronyms is gold, God, right? His God is gold, oil, and drugs, right? He has, gold is a mineral of the earth. He has coveted gold. Is it not true? He has covenant gold and gave you a green piece of paper and tells you that money, which is really, Apostle always brings out, gold and silver is the Most High's money. All right, that's his material. Gold, because you got golds in the heavens. Gold, right? All minerals. We don't got to go through the whole thing. Minerals. But this point is going into the oil, right? He has control of all the things that come from the earth. The main thing is oil. And that's what a lot of these wars, a lot of these things going all over the earth is, because it is oil, man. And it's something that's the second most abundant liquid on earth. So that's what I want to bring out, that showing you how truly evil this man is, making these wars and nations dying and people dying off of something that's abundant, man. That's abundant. Again, you can never take more than what it can regenerate. The oil in the earth always regenerates more than what you can take away. Look at that, man. You see this devil, man. You see this devil, but yet he tells you, they're scarce. You paying all this money at the dollar. People are dying. Wars are happening because he's fighting for something that's all over the earth, right? You see the devil, man. You see him. Shall the fatness? It said the fatness of the earth. Come on. Right? With this monopoly, with this scarcity that he created at the 1892 at the Geneva Convention, Rockefeller, we just saw the video. That's how he got real fat, and he destroyed the trolley system and created automobiles. Why? For more profit, to get that fatness, to get more dominance of the earth. But how did he do it? It says, by the sword shall thou live, and it says, by the sword thou shalt live. Do we got to look up sword? Yeah. Karab, sword. All right, knife, dagger, axe, mattock, sword, knife, tools for cutting stone. All right, so you already get it. Sword. So this damn devil. Oh, look at that! Look at that! I see. I just looked up the root meaning is karab. Another one. It says waste, dry up, desolate, decayed, destroyed, destroyer. Right, right. He has wasted. He has destroyed the whole earth, man. Something that destroys and decays and makes stuff isolate is a weapon like biological warfare. That's a sword. Lay waste, make desolate, be in ruins, to be made desolate, to be dried up. Just like them nuclear missiles, that's what that's going to do. That's a sword bathed in heaven, and it's going to desolate and dry up everything by that heat, right? All right, so we know what sword is, and the point is that how did he get dominance all over the earth? By the sword, by killing. Okay. So that was the point I wanted to bring out there. So I'm just thinking about a precept real quick. Steal, kill, and destroy, right? And all the stuff in it with Venezuela and Greenland, right, is an example of this prophecy right here. Right here, let's go to right here, right? This scripture can never get old. This is out of our Lord's mouth. It says, the Lord said, and the Lord Yahweh Shai saith, the thief cometh not. So right there, the Lord's giving you description of a thief. A thief cometh not, but for to steal. Right? Is he not planning to steal in Greenland? Trump did not say that? Yeah, basically they stole Venezuela. They stole the president Maduro. They stole the oil. Excuse me. They stole the oil. They stole oil tankers, man. Okay, you can't get around that. So that's a thief. But for to steal, and did he not kill supposedly? The made up story drug. What they claim drug cartels. Remember that was going on a few months back where there were. Was it Peter Hesnick, or not Peter Hesnick, the Vice Secretary of Defense, when they were taking out them ships with supposed terrorists or drug people, and they were taking out them ships by drones or whatever have you, and it was controversy, right? So they killed for this, man. They killed people to capture Maduro, right, and to destroy, right. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly, right. So the Lord is about life. This man's about death, right? All them things in Venezuela, I remember we were covenant through the apostles of GMS on down. We were covenant through the spirit of Yahweh Shemai Shai. We were bringing out that. Remember, in Venezuela, there was a famine out there, man. Why was there a famine? Because it was due to oil, right? Because, the Venezuela government, I did a show in there recently that they tried to walk away from the dollar, they kicked America out of their country because they didn't want to take a less share in the oil that they were profiting off of the Venezuelans, which is our people, right? So they made a coup, assassination attempts. They all failed with Chavez, I believe, right? Before Maduro. And then eventually they just cut off their supplies. A lot of them oil rigs in Venezuela were American parts, right? So they stopped their production. They didn't maintain their oil rigs anymore. So it shut down their production, and people were starving out there. It got that bad. It was so bad that it was cannibalism, right? You see? So that's what the devil does, man, and that's what he's doing over there, all around the world. Okay, so let's go to one more. Job 9:24, right? Because matter of fact, let's read this real quick. Yeah, right here, right? So if you read this, and Isaac and his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above, meaning from the top to the bottom, to the skies, all the way to the earth. This man has all of it, right? Through satellites, through airplanes, through the HAARP. You already know, okay? He got that, okay? He uses that against countries that go against him, okay? Why is it all these major catastrophes in all these countries are eventually against him? Or even a little excited. All right, so we got that. So let's get the precept to that, the fatness of the earth, meaning he has the whole control of the whole earth through satellites, through cameras everywhere, through 5G and 6G technologies, right? Through the bonds of the people, through usury, through the banking system, right? And ultimately all the resources he controls, and in this case, oil, right? That's the main thing, oil, man. Oil's in everything you see around you. Look at that movie Pump. I'm telling you, that's a great documentary, man. Job 9. So this is the precept, Jonah 9:24. Proving that Esau's blessing, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. How? You don't have the earth. You don't have control of the earth. What I have in the fatness of the earth is the same thing, right? So the fatness of the earth, that's Esau's blessing. So that would have to mean Job 9:24. That would have to mean they're the wicked because they have the control over the whole earth. That's them. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked, right? Through the monopolies, through lying about oil, control information, lying to the people to gain more profit, right? Creating scarcity when it wasn't ever scarce in the first place. Making people dependent on them, right? Tricking the market. That's his MO. He's the devil. He said he covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Yeah, he covers things. He covered the truth about oil, right? Did not Rockefeller hire people in 1892 in the Geneva Convention to say, look, I'm paying you as scientists, say that oil is a fossil. Say that it's biotic when it's not. So I can create scarcity on it and charge money for it and make a profit. Did he not cover the true image of the Most High and the Lord? Right? Did he not cover the truth from the children of Israel? Right? The slaves weren't allowed to read the Bible. They were put to death. They weren't allowed to read in general, but if they read the Bible, they were put to death. Why? Because they would figure out, hey, man, this man's the devil who has me in chains. Hey, man, this guy is an Edomite, man. We are the Israelites. We're the meek. Right? You see? So he covered all that. Do iconoclasm, right? Destroying the images of our forefathers. Do whitewashing, destroying, painting over the colored images of our Lord Yahushua and the Most High and the prophets. Who else did that? These are facts, man. And it's all coming out. Through the spirit of Yahushua, it says he covered the faces of the judges thereof, and if not, who and where is he? If it's not him, who is it, man? Everything that's covered up in the society, everything that you learn and say, well, wait a minute, damn, that's a lie. It's Esau behind it, man. And again, according to this show, Esau was behind the control information about oil being scarce. That's a freaking lie, man. A freaking lie. So I think I said everything. I probably missed some points. But, man, check out, please, Baba Gashar. Not please. You can do whatever you want. But check out this documentary, man. Pump 2015, USA. I always recommend this. I'll put in the description once again. Okay. Look into the information I was telling you about. Okay, look into the guy I was talking about. Right here, what's his name again? His name is Fletcher Prouty. Okay, I might have looked into him too again. And this is the documentary OPEC. I'm telling you, man, you're gonna level up with this if you don't already know with this here. It also covers other sources of energy and the whole the birth of the automobile industry and who controlled the gas or the oil for it to flourish, man, which is the Rockefellers. They're always behind that. You know what I mean? And this is the first video I did on it. This is just a redo of it. If you want to check it out, it's up to you. But I'll put this in the description. This is being pre-recorded. This is day 19 in 2026. And let's look at this water over here. Look at that. Again, oil is the second most abundant liquid on earth. You see that right there? And remember, all these people are dying all around the world, going to war. You paying crazy prices of gas for something that's abundant, that you can never run out of. Okay? So, I pray the Holy Spirit was with this video. This is one of my favorite topics, and I just hope it resonates, man, and it shows you the evil of this man. And we're in the last days because Yahushua is revealing a lot, and you got to think, if this is controlled information, what else is controlled out there, right? Like the UFOs, man, right? Everybody's finding out about the UFOs really belong to Yahushua Shai, right? What other stuff are they lying about? Okay, the truth is coming out, man, and the prophets are bringing it out. You got to look at these other camps. What the hell are they talking about? Party Passovers? Date night? What, IUIC? Fuck out of here, man. Anyway, Kal Halal, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Ruach Wadash, all right? The water Yahweh for giving us Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles of GMS. Double honors to the CT bishops of GMS. Shalom to Yakim in this country and all over the world. Prophesying in the true name of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. Shalom.